Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tric Trac TV. My name is Jamie. I'm joined today by Bruno and Ludovic from Serious Pulp. How's it going, guys?
Fine, thanks.
All good? Now, they are French, as you're probably going to be able to tell from their accents. But they do manage to speak English, so we should be fine.
Little bit.
There we go. And we are here today to talk about the Seventh Continent. This game here, well, I say this game here, this is a prototype. When the finished product comes out, it will be lovely, nice cards, but for the moment, it's pieces of paper that have been printed out and hurriedly rammed into some card sleeves. So don't judge, once again, prototype. Without further ado, the Seventh Continent. What is it exactly then?
Okay, it's a game which doesn't currently exist because we are going to kickstart it late in September.
Yep.
So in a few weeks now. It's the first choose your own adventure exploration board game.
Based on the novels?
Yes, based on the game books.
Yep, the fighting fantasy.
Yeah,
Ian Livingstone and all that.
So basically we have transformed the chapters from the book into cards like this one.
There we go.
With numbers.
So instead of having a page number now, you've got a card with a number. There's a little bit of text on it, and what's on the other side, we'll get to that slightly afterwards. But you see the main principle.
Yes, and it's it's a game you play with, in which you play with cards. The action takes place in early 20th century. You play, so it's a survival and exploration board game. You are explorers. You've just participated to the first exploration to the seventh continent, which has just been discovered out of Antarctica. And it often happens in the 20th century. You've been cursed during the expedition, and then you've been back to your house, but your colleagues have just started dying.
Yes, you wake up with nightmares and visions,
and you're frozen. Also, it's very hot outside. You disappear mysteriously, and you have to go back alone because the game can be played solo.
From 1 to 4 players.
Yes, or with your team of colleagues from the past expedition, so it can play up to 4 players. So 1, 2, 3, 4 players, and it's a cooperative board game. So you try to figure out how to get rid of all the curses that you start your adventure with.
Because each player will have a different curse.
Yes, well, actually they share the same curses, but when the game begins, you have to choose which curses you are going to play with. And it will take you many, many hours to achieve this or die trying, since a game can last till 15 to 25 hours.
That's a long play time.
Yeah, hopefully we have created and we have designed a saving system.
Yes, that's very important to specify with such a long game time.
Since most people cannot play 20 hours in a row. So we have created this saving system. It allows you to, it works with cards only, and it allows you in 20 seconds top to keep track of what you've done and where you are on the continent, and stop the game until next session with your friends or wife or whoever you play with. And then you'll start where you last stopped to continue the adventure.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the game in the core box, there will be about more than 600 cards. 600, okay. And there are 3 curses. Each curse is very different from the other, since one will ask you to reach a very difficult place, the other will ask you to achieve something which is almost impossible to achieve. And,
but again, if this game was easy, we'd know about it.
No, it's a survival game, so we'll get to it, but of course it's difficult and you have to play smartly. There will be 4 expansions when the Kickstarter campaign is launched, and each one of them will include 1 new curse to lift, to get rid of, and now we can talk about how the game actually works.
So first of all, you have characters, right?
Yes, cards is the main component of the box. So 600 and more in the card base, more than 1,000 cards with the expansions, and then there are stretch goals, of course.
And how many of those are the famous page cards?
At least we are about 600 cards with a number on it, and we are going to see the different kind of cards that exist.
But I mean that this will be, if you were to put all those cards together, this is a big game if you were to lay it all out.
Well, actually, there are lots of situations in the game where you have to make choices that will eliminate a complete part of the adventure. For instance, if you meet someone and if you decide to kill him, you won't access what would have happened if you didn't have killed him. So you won't see everything in a row, and even if you play the game several times, it's most likely you won't see it all. So
you play one time, you push the lever, you play next time, you pull the lever, and there's either a horrible monster waiting for you or there isn't.
And there are lots of components that are random or semi-random to allow game replayability.
Excellent.
So you have two main deck cards in the game. The first one is the action deck.
If I may.
So you may, of course.
So these
those cards have a blue back,
Yep.
and they represent the life force of the group. So it's common to all the players.
Right.
It allows you to perform action. Action are the core of the mechanism, the game mechanism. And it's also those cards will later in the game become IDs that you can have.
Ideas that you can have for different things. Okay.
When you perform an action, you will be able to add one ID card.
Here we go. Here's an idea. So this is an idea for a deadfall trap. There we go.
It allows you to hunt and to rest more easily. So there are about 20 different objects when you start the game, and there are also IDs that give you bonus when they are discarded during the game.
Okay, so you've got like item ideas. Don't quite know how to. It's kind of like advantage ideas, that sort of thing. Brainstorms. That sort
Absolutely. Of thing. So you will at the beginning of the game you are going to choose which explorer you are playing among the four characters available currently in the game box.
But there will be more, no doubt, during the campaign, right?
Probably, yes. So you have Dmitry Gorshkov, which is a mercenary from Russia, Kieran McCluskey, an Irish botanist, Ferdinand Lachapelière, who is a French adventurer and a survivor, and Elliot Pendleton, who is a doctor from England, athletic doctor as well.
Right.
So you choose your character, and you add, for each character you play, you will add the specific IDs that this character has
these are specific
to the action deck.
Right.
Because,
so
as you can see, it's the same color.
Yeah, that needs to be specified that the action deck, no matter how many players are in the game, it's the same action deck.
It's the same action deck for all players, but each player has some IDs he only can have in his hand.
Of course. But also they add more cards to that deck, which is still energy for everybody.
And then, because you are cursed, unfortunately, you are going to add some cursed cards, which are identified by this skull here, this skull icon. So first, for this game today, we are going to play with only one curse, which is the Voracious Goddess. And we are going to add several generic curse in the action deck as well.
Curse cards.
So there will be 7 different curse, as I said previously. And you choose, when the game starts, how many you want to play with.
Okay.
The more you have, the longer the game will be, and the more difficult, of course, it will be.
But you need a certain number of curse cards in the deck. 5
minimum.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you have added all those cards to the action deck, you are ready to start the game.
Okay.
And you start the game by, like in a game book, you start with chapter 1. So actually, just before starting, I'm going to talk about the only thing you carry when you arrive on the 7th continent, which is your shoulder bag. And this is a game area in which you can store all the cards with this icon, which is the book.
There we go.
So you have no limit in it, and each card like this one is a note you have found during the adventure, and it also allows you to carry quest items. So items we want you not to lose during the game because they might be very useful to achieve your
and you can also find different scraps of information during the game, and they all go into this ledger, which is also in the bag. But
absolutely. For instance, botanic is a thing you can learn during the game to use flowers that are drawn on the terrain card of the game, and this will go in the shoulder bag.
And having that information in the shoulder bag means that you can then do something with those flowers, which
normally
you wouldn't be able to, because they're not marked on the card. You just have to see them and go, oh, there's a flower, hold on a second, oh, I've got information on that,
absolutely.
So I can use it for whatever.
So for everyone, it's just a flower drawn on a card, and for you, it's something you can use, for instance, to eat or do something else. So you start the adventure with one paper like this in your shoulder bag.
Okay.
It's a clue that puts you on the way to the curse you have decided to play. So this is a clue for the Voracious Goddess curse.
And as we can see, there's a sort of little map for the curse there, which I assume is some clues to where the curse...
Yeah, it's very useful if you want to find out how to lead the curse and then actually do it. So this is the first game area. The second game area is the board that you are going to build during the game. So you start with card 1. So each time you take a card, you should read the background, the fluff
the
text.
piercing cries of a few gulls pull you from a deep sleep. It feels so strange it sounds like they are laughing. A few feet away, thick plumes of yellowish smoke escape from the volcanic rock. You try to understand, where on earth are you? How did you end up in this place? You cannot seem to remember.
So
then
now
you flip it over.
Yeah, you flip it over and the adventure begins.
Ta-da!
So last night you were at your home a bit sick because of the curse, and you wake up on this island. So it's the first terrain you will explore, and you put your character. So once again, it's a prototype. It's not the definitive sculpture. So this is the terrain on which you are. And like you do it every time you reveal a terrain card, you are going to put some random events next to it.
Okay.
For each row, that's an arrow indicating to put a random event. So I take 2 random events and I put them in play here.
Okay. And that's indicated by these little gold signs here on the side of the card, right? These little ones here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So right now you only know this terrain, but you'll have to explore in the Fog of War, for those of you who played Age of Empire, for instance, to discover the continent, and you're going to build the map of the continent.
One card at a time.
So how do you do this? You perform actions. That's the way you do. So on your game turn, you are going to perform one action, and then another player is going to perform one action, unless you want to perform a second action, and you can do it if other players agree. If they let you do. After 10 turns in a row, they might say, "Come on, man, I'm not going to play." But,
sure.
So there are lots of actions available. You can actually perform
that is a lot of
when you play too much for the zoom.
Zoom out.
So you can dig holes, you can heal yourself, you can make fire, hunt. There are lots of actions, and of course you cannot. This is only to explain you what is the meaning of each icon. You don't have to learn it. It's just on the game help. And you can perform an action on your game turn, which is on the terrain card. Your figurine is on, so your
explorer.
Your explorer is on. On the event cards, such as this one, that are attached to this terrain by yellow arrow. From cards you have in your hand, so you'll see later, but the action cards, you can have them in your hands, and some of them allow you to perform actions.
I think I saw one just go by that.
Yeah, for this one, for instance, this one.
I'll put this one up.
So this is an ID you can have in your hand. This ID allows you to perform the action craft, to craft this item. And once this item, that's very easy, is crafted, you can perform with this item, this action, make fire. So you can perform actions from the cards you have in your hand and from the objects you have in your inventory. They are represented by the 6 dice.
6-sided dice.
The dice are not rolled. We have an innovative mechanism.
It's a tile card-based system. They're just there to represent durability.
Yes, durability of the object. So each time you will use it, you will decrease durability, and when there's no durability, it will go to the discard pile. Okay. So now that we've seen what actions you can perform, let's see how you perform an action. Okay. So currently, there are 3 actions available on this right now. I can go there, so this is a visit, go and see.
So I'll just
I can
show people here. There we go. So we're talking about this little action here with the 0-5. So that's a go visit icon.
Go visit icon.
Okay.
And the other icon available action is this one, which is
this one here, which is explore.
Yeah, find a path, follow my route, run away.
And those are the 2 actions we can currently perform.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The more you progress, the more actions you will be available, of course.
Okay.
So how do I perform every action in the game? It's pretty simple. For each action, you have here the icon of the action.
Okay.
And you have the number of cards you have to draw in the action deck to perform this action.
So that's a 2, and there's a plus, so you can draw more than 2 if you want.
Absolutely. You can choose to draw more cards than indicated by the action.
Which simulates putting more energy into
it.
Absolutely,
so more energy, more focusing.
But that deck isn't infinite, so...
And each action tells you how many achievements you have to obtain in order to be successful.
And I'm going to take this weave card
So-
back
Yes.
because I imagine those, when we
Absolutely.
draw a card...
So when you perform, for instance, this fight action here, you are going to draw at least 2 cards. So
Okay.
you decide once and for all.
Okay,
And then you are going to flip these
flip
cards.
them over.
And you are going to count the complete
Okay.
stars on
So
the
we
left
just flip
of the
these
card.
2 cards over,
Yes.
and then we have 1 star and 2 half stars. So does that make 2?
No, that makes 1. Because half stars only work if they can match like this.
There we
So
go.
you have to assemble. So the more cards you draw, the more success you are going to
see.
obtain, the more achievements you are going to achieve.
So just to reiterate, that's
But
only 1 star,
yeah.
and that's still only
1
1 star. Okay.
But the more cards you draw, the more energy you waste. And when
course.
the action deck is empty, you are going to take all cards from the discard pile, and now you are going to draw cards from the discard pile.
Right.
And in that case, if you draw 1 curse card, so 1 card with this
Any card
icon,
with that icon?
game over. You are dead because of the curse. It has consumed you, so game over. So during all the adventures, this is the survival aspect of the game.
I see.
During all the adventure, you are going to try to guess what is the best number of cards you have to draw.
Can you afford to do this? Should
Craft.
you go there? Should you?
Absolutely. Choose which actions you do and which you don't. Sometimes decide to lose during an action, to fail at doing an action, but to economize energy. You are going to craft items because items can be used during an action. For instance, the shovel here,
Shovel here.
once crafted, you can use it when you perform one of those actions. So if you dig, if you fight, or if you open a chest, for instance,
Because we can all open a chest
it
with a shovel.
reduces the number of cards you are going to draw from the action deck. So
Or gives me a success.
yes, and or. So you,
Oh, and or,
yes,
so you can do both.
have
Oh, that's
both.
good. That's
Yes.
very good.
You just have to use it.
You just have to reduce its
yes,
durability.
absolutely.
Okay.
So you reduce durability. So you have to craft, and also you are going to have to regain energy. So for this we use
Food cards? There we go.
And food cards, they don't fall from the sky, you have to earn them. So mostly by doing the action hunt and fish. It's logical. And in fact, for instance, this
There
is
we go.
meat.
Vegetarians look away
Yes. So the dice here means it's an object you have found.
Yep.
So you would put a dice on it to
now.
say it's
And
an
it
object.
takes up a slot in your...
In your inventory,
Of course.
absolutely. And it allows you to perform the action hit, which allows you to get cards from the discard pile to the action deck.
which
at
refills
random.
your action deck.
Yes.
And therefore you don't die.
Yes, because you eat. So
Thankfully.
you get energy back.
However-
and if you have fire, the fire resource, which is illustrated by this
little
this
token
miniature.
here. Well, so it
If-
won't be
if
illustrated
you-
by this in the game.
No.
Once again, it is a prototype. But
Yes.
it's the fire marker is on the same
Yes,
zone as
there
you
will be a
when
fire
you
marker.
eat.
Then you can get more 6 instead of 3, and of course it depends of what kind of food you have. Fish, for instance, it's 4 cards or 5 cards if you have
Because fish is
the fire.
easy to
So
reward.
making fire when you have food is a good idea because you get more energy from doing that.
Okay.
So what happened once I have checked how many success I obtained? Oh, of course, curses, no success.
No success
So when
at
you
all.
draw a curse, it's bad. It's bad because it's bad for your statistics.
Yes, of course.
When it is done, you are going to apply the consequence, which is indicated in the white section if it's if it's a success, in the black one if it's a failure. So, for instance, I'm going to show you
There we go.
this. For
There we go.
instance, if I success, I apply the thing here. If I fail, I will apply this one.
There we go. Okay.
Some actions don't have this the failure section, so it means you just wasted energy, no
Right.
consequence. Some actions, when you fail them, give you state cards,
Hold on. Let me just show
such
that
as
to
this one.
people.
So let's say we
we
have
go.
performed the action here, which is this action here
Right.
is 1-0, so I draw 1 card to perform it.
Okay.
I don't need any success.
So it's happened. Well, you've managed it. Okay.
Absolutely. During the action, I can add 1 ID card with a blue hand to my
Right,
hand.
Okay. So we've
So
got
now-
this card here. Don't need any successes.
Yes. So now I have the idea of splint. I can craft a splint. So
Okay.
I keep it in my hand, and now I apply the consequence in the white section. So
Okay.
I draw the 5
Card number 5.
Card number
Yep.
5. If there are several cards with the number 5 on it with a green back, like this one, I choose randomly which card I'm going to pick to take. If there are, sometimes you have, most of the times you have green cards, but for instance here you have a yellow card as well. You cannot take a yellow card unless there are, if there are green cards available.
Okay, right.
Yellow cards allow us to keep track of some actions you've done. For instance, if you find a chest, the chest is closed, you open it, and then you will say, take a 300 card. 300 cards, there are 20 300 cards. It's different objects that you can find in a chest. So objects are randomly gained. And now you banish the card with the chest closed, and you replace it with the yellow card, which is the chest open.
And empty, probably.
Empty.
Okay.
So next time you come here, if you try to seek the chest again, the chest will be open and empty, because the consequence is...
I assume that works for things like levers or whatever as well. If you pull it, it banishes a certain card, so it only leaves you with a certain option.
Yes.
Okay.
You will be able to explore underground terrain, for instance, temples or icy grots, I don't know,
caves.
So, for instance, if you are in a temple and you have a lift, a lever, and the action is you can take it down. If you do so, you banish, let's say, card 158. Then you will banish the green one. And 8 hours later in the game, you will be asked to draw the card 158. And either you have opened a passage that was very difficult otherwise, or you have opened the gate for a terrible monster which is going to attack you. So you have to pick. And maybe somewhere else on the continent, you will find a guy who will give you a clue telling you, don't open the lever, don't touch it, or do it absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay.
See the kind of mechanics you can have.
Okay. So if we've executed that action there, so you managed it by drawing one card, didn't need any successes, which means that this card then goes here.
Yes, this card is a permanent event, so the arrow here, like for the random events, tells you have to put it in play, facing your character figure, and in the same reading sense.
Right. Okay.
So, of course, you don't have to do this action. You can do it later in the game. You don't have to climb the mountain. You can do it, another player can do it, or you can start exploring, and then when you are ready, when you have crafted a rope, for instance, which will help you climb, you can come back and do the action.
Okay.
So if you fail from this cliff, you will get injured. Okay. So injured states there are several states in the game. So you can be tired, you can be injured. Each state works the same way.
Okay.
So basically, when you gain a state, you add it to your hand, since it had a red hand on it. And each time you gain a state, you have to discard as many cards from the action deck than state cards you already have in your hand. So the worse you feel, the more cards you will discard.
Of course.
So if you are tired and you get injured, you discard one card. Then if you get poisoned, for instance, you will discard 2 cards, and so on.
I see. So these take up a spot in your hand where you'd normally have thoughts.
Yes.
So
also states.
Yes. So it takes up that, and then also for every card that you already have, when you pull a state card, you get rid of cards.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if I have tired, then I get injured, I discard one card. Then if I get poisoned, I discard 2.
Absolutely, at random from the action deck.
Okay.
But now every effect has a condition to get rid of it. So if you are tired, you have to rest. If you are injured, you have to heal.
Okay.
Of course, there are states in the game that don't tell you how to get rid of it.
Maybe poison or something like that?
Poison, you have to find an antidote or a way to... Maybe
the game doesn't tell you go here.
Maybe with the botanic notes you've learned before, or because you have a character that can heal a poison state, and so on.
Okay.
And there will be at least more than 10 effects in the generic effect, and then in the exploration deck, so the cards with the number on it, other effects.
Intriguing.
Yes.
Okay.
Action steps.
Yes.
En détail pour expliquer notamment la carte que tu gardes en main.
Okay, so the action step in detail. So first you can use an item by decreasing its durability.
This is just to show how you go through an action.
Yes, this is the detailed version of an action.
Then. Okay.
So for this action, if I do it, I have to draw 1 or more cards.
Okay.
Before this,
it's marked
and I have to gets 2 achievements to succeed.
Okay then.
Okay?
And
If I succeed, I apply this effect,
Okay.
which is I banish this card from the game, and I replace it with the yellow card.
With the
the
golden
same number.
equivalent. Okay.
If I fail, I actually fell from the cliff, and I am injured.
And you take an injury card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So now, first of all, I can use item. For instance, if I had crafted a rope, I can use my rope to help me do the action.
Okay, so to use an item, the item needs to have the icon that is on the action
Absolutely.
card. Okay.
I'm just going
don't
to
know if you
find,
can-
if it's not the demo effect,
It's going to be the last card
Yeah,
you
of
look
course,
at.
it's
It
always
always is. It always is.
or it's just absent from the. Okay, the rope.
It doesn't matter. The rope will have the little climbing icon on it, which means you can use it for this action and it will give you its bonus.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So once you have used your object, your item, you define the cost of the action. So
Now, because you've used the item, you have to reduce its durability. There we go.
Okay,
Rope.
so the
Gotcha.
rope,
Okay.
once
There we
crafted,
go.
once you have crafted it,
Yeah.
it helps you climb.
It
So
has that.
it gives you
Which has that?
-1 card to draw and two achievements.
Okay.
It also has a flag here, which I will explain later.
Okay.
So now you've used your rope, so the action now is much more easy. It's automatic success.
It is indeed, actually, yes.
But let's say you didn't have the rope or you didn't use it, so you climb. You have to decide now how many cards you are going to draw. At least one,
Yep.
or more. IDs from your hand can help you decrease this number, for instance. So once you have chosen the number of cards you are going to draw, you draw it from the action deck. And let's say I draw 2 cards, and now it's failure because, as we said previously, not enough.
There we've drawn 2 cards, 1 success, and then 2 half stars, but they don't go together, so it doesn't count. So that's only 1 success. So then if we look at this, we needed to draw minimum 1 card, we drew 2, and we needed 2 successes. We failed it, so we read the black box.
Yes, but just before that, we can add while climbing, we add 1 ID. So we can either keep this card or this ID.
Oh, of course, yes.
This ID allows you to gain experience points during the game, because you will be able to gain experience points and to discard them to gain new upgraded
cards.
cards,
Okay,
yes,
which
for
makes
this
your
deck.
action deck bigger and more effective.
And more powerful. And this one, for instance, allows you to perform an action which will tell you to draw a 400 card, which is notes for your book.
Okay, great.
So, but now we failed, so we apply the consequence.
And no matter how many cards you draw for an action, you only ever keep 1.
Yes, absolutely, and the other cards are discarded in the discard pile.
Okay, sounds good. So that means we would have, me and anybody helping me would have fallen to the ground and we'd all be injured.
Yes.
Okay.
Some actions, you cannot draw more cards than specified.
Indicated by the little red
yes.
lock. Okay.
And some action, you have to do it, all the players have to do the action together.
Okay.
Because when you perform an action, you can do it alone or with the help of other players.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there any other bonuses to
Yes,
other
when
players
you
helping you?
perform an action with other players, there's a bonus, there's a malus. The bonus is you can decide during, where's my finger here? You can decide to reduce the amount of cards you draw,
Okay.
but you have to increase at the same time the number of achievements you need to successfully perform the action.
Okay.
So let's say the action is 5 cards to draw, 0 achievements to get. You can transform it, turn it into a 4-1, 3-2,
Gotcha.
2-3, 1-4, or 0-5. Okay.
I see.
So it will help you draw
Manage
less
your
cards,
energy cards. Okay.
which is important because action deck is going to get thinner and thinner.
But however, that also means that everybody suffers the consequences.
Absolutely. Everybody suffers consequences, so here everybody would get injured. Plus, all players involved in the action get the paranoid state. So they try to be suspicious about one another.
Which is another state card,
Yes,
like injured and
absolutely,
everything.
which works the same way injured card.
And if you help me do an action, say I'm healing myself, and you help me do it, does that mean you get healed as well?
No, depends of the consequence of the action, but I can help you by using my IDs or my objects.
Okay, so as a rule of thumb, it's only the bad stuff that happens to everybody and the good stuff that happens to the person that
Depends
originally
of
done
the
it.
consequence.
Okay, fair enough then.
Okay. We've seen how actions work. So there are 2 actions which differ slightly from the rest. The first one is a crafting action.
Okay.
When you craft an ID from your hand, you can decrease the number of cards you draw if you have the following resources.
Right.
So for instance, if I have bamboo or rock, and as you can see on this specific terrain card, rock is available. So you don't collect resources, but they are useful on the terrain you are to reduce the cost of the items you craft.
Okay.
And once it's done, you can put a dice on it to say now it's an item from my inventory. and you can assemble cards together. That's it pretty much.
Okay.
You can increase durability if the keywords here match one another.
All right, so if you make another object, say for the shovel, if I was to craft another object with the stamina keyword, I could add them together, and that would add their durabilities together, and
so
then
for
I just have
instance,
like a mega object.
If I put this card under, this item doesn't bring this durability because the keywords are not the same. But if you add stamina, it would increase to 6.
And I could choose which action I wanted to perform.
Absolutely.
And that saves space in my inventory,
Yes,
of course.
absolutely.
Okay, great.
So this is the craft action. The other action is an action proposed by your character action because it allows you to move your character.
Right.
What is specific about this action is that when you perform it, the cost of the action is not on the card, on the action, it's on the terrain you are trying to
So this
reach.
is your move action whenever you want to
Absolutely.
change zones.
But first you need to explore the continent in order to put in play terrain cards. How do you do it? But first you have to resolve a random event.
Okay.
Once it is resolved and discarded, you will put in play a card after reading its
It has a
background.
little flavor text on it, of course.
A card that will assemble like a puzzle.
Okay.
And now you can move
And then you'll build
on
the
this terrain
continent.
card by paying one card from the action deck.
Okay.
And the action works like the other actions.
Okay.
Actually. So
And is that per zone
you've
you
done,
have
you
to
move
cross? Is that per zone you have to cross? So if there was another terrain here, for example,
Okay, you
it
can
would
go
cost me 1,
directly.
2?
No, it's only
Okay.
the targeted terrain you
Right,
go to.
because you've already explored it, so you know
Yes,
it's there,
you know
so
the
it's
so it's
easier to
faster.
get there. Okay, fair enough.
But if between the terrains there's a card, such as an event card, you cannot jump over it. You have to
so
stop.
there are like break points where
Absolutely.
it says scale this mountain
Yes,
or
and
jump down
usually
here.
they are
And,
difficult. So they
Okay.
propose to perform actions that are quite difficult.
okay, and they act as breaks between different zones.
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
That's it pretty much. No.
I think we've gone over mostly everything.
And you'll see
believe.
the saving system when we play the game.
when we play the
for
game, which
real.
we're going to do momentarily.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that everything? Now, there is a save system. Do you want to quickly show us the save
Okay,
system?
it works with.
Hold on, let's build a character. Okay, here's your man with a shovel and a splint.
So you will
I've
keep.
got up.
So this is, let's say this is an ID from your hand. And
Okay, there we go.
Let's say you
So I'm playing.
are tired.
Okay, so I'm playing Ferdinand.
Okay.
I've built a shovel. I have an idea for a splint, and I'm tired.
Yes.
Okay.
So you keep the card of Ferdinand, and you keep the cards from your hand under this card.
Okay, you put them straight under.
Now you use one of the saving cards to keep track of the durability of your shovel.
So
now
you
shovel
take
was
these
4.
cards and you put the number relevant to its durability at the top,
Yes.
and you put the object underneath.
Yes, and
Okay.
you put all of the objects under
That
your character.
under this one. Okay.
Now you keep your shoulder bag with all the cards
Okay.
on it.
You put that on top.
You keep the terrain card you wear.
Where you were. Okay.
Yeah, you discard all the other cards.
And you put them back into the box.
Yes. So this is a discard pile from the generic cards.
Okay.
You use one action deck card to keep track of how many cards are left in the action deck.
Okay.
And you use the action deck discard to keep track of how many cards were already discarded. And you put all the cards together.
Okay. And that just wastes one nice packet of cards.
Yes.
So I imagine there'll be a little slot in the box. Where you
Absolutely. And when you have, you start again the day after.
Yep.
You take cards from the
So you know that's my discard pile.
discard pile.
Then this is going to be my action
This
pile.
is my action pile.
There we go.
This is my land, and I put new random events here. My shoulder bag, my character, and my
Nice
shovel
ideas.
with a 4 on it.
20 seconds.
I've just loaded the game.
And then you have to technically re-explore the rest of the continent, I assume. Like you don't put out the other cards that you've already had.
No, because
You have to
for
technically
instance,
re-explore it a
if you, as I said before for the chest, if you find the chest again, then the chest will be open.
Yeah, the game will remember certain.
Yeah, if you,
but then
if you dig a hole, the hole will be open. If you kill someone, the guy will be dead.
But then you mentioned
And
that
so
some choices you have multiple cards you can draw. And therefore, if you haven't resolved that action, you can go back and potentially draw another card, which isn't the same or might be
Absolutely.
worse.
For
might be better.
instance, here you have 2 cards
Okay.
with the 9 number.
Up,
So you have when you have to
number
draw a 9
nines.
card, you have to take one at random.
Okay, so I might
Each
play
one
the
has
game.
a specific event.
Okay, so I might play the game and I turn it over and I get what looks like a plague of insects. That's not very fun at all, I bet. But then again, I might save the game, reload it, and this time I get a nice, quiet cave to rest in. Perfect.
Absolutely.
So,
And
okay.
all random events that you will discover each time you put a terrain card in play is random.
Right.
But it is linked to a special area of the game. For instance, is
I
area 1.
see. Okay.
Because we don't want you to get a snowstorm when you are in the temple, for instance, which would be
yeah.
completely
Okay,
stupid.
that's clever.
So there are about 7 zones in the game, and each one has a lot of random events. So each time you will face different
Of course.
events.
And the cards that were banned, they stay out. They are banned from that
Banished
game
is-
entirely, whether you
yes.
save or reload. The
Absolutely.
ones that are discarded, however, they go back in
They
the
can,
deck.
they can come back in the
Okay,
deck.
perfect.
And you can join an adventure. For instance, you start solo, and then a friend of yours wants to play, you can easily join the game, and you keep the adventure together, just like in a role-playing game.
Excellent.
So it's between, to summarize this, it's choose your own adventure board game. Exploration and survival, obviously, is the main thing. And it's between a board game, a role-playing game, and a video game, because
Sort of, yeah.
you have
Yeah, I
some
can see
feelings
why.
of Don't Starve or
yes, I see.
things
Yeah,
like
I
this
see
one,
the
or
resemblance.
Myst.
Ah,
also.
Myst, yeah, definitely.
And,
Okay.
and for instance, when you get, and I will finish with this, when you get experience points, each one gives you a little tip, just like in
yes.
the loaders, you know, when you play video game.
Riskier to hunt. Oh, yes, like from.
So
yeah, of
it's
course.
a
the
little
loading
glimpse
pages.
to the
Okay.
players who play video
So,
games.
yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
riskier to hunt and fish when you are bloody. Okay. And this can then be spent, as we said, to get better items.
Absolutely.
Better items.
So there
by
are
better
many,
thoughts.
many, many things to discover, but you will do this.
But then again, you'll discover those through playing,
yeah.
I think. Speaking of which, we're going to go play. So join us in a moment. We're going to come back and we're going to hash it out. See you then.